Hey everybody, welcome to the sunny side. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about making judgment calls on other people. My husband had a friend of ours post something on Facebook, and my husband is the type of person to just immediately jump right into a judgment call. I am more of a hold on, wait a minute, I need to find out for myself type person. so um so when he was getting upset with our friend, and I said, hold on, I said, whenever there's anything out there, anything, I go research it for myself, so that way I know. That's me. I like to do detective-y work. Anyway, so we went and watched the recent uproar in Minneapolis with ICE, and what we saw versus what was put out. There's some discrepancies, but we were able to watch several videos. We were able to watch several different angles, and we came to our own conclusion. We both felt that there was a little bit of, well, not a little bit, excuse me, not a little bit. There was excessive force. However, we can also understand why it happened. It doesn't excuse anything. And we don't know if there was an actual weapon that was discharged by this gentleman. We weren't there. We didn't see firsthand. All we have is a whole bunch of choppy videos. But from what we saw, and what my husband was thinking is that, so I'm going to back up now. What my husband was thinking was that our friend was kind of siding with the left. And that's where he got upset. He's like, are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. Like, how could he? And I'm like, wait. Let's see why he said this. And so now he's able to go, oh, okay, I understand why he said that. But it took that small little bit of animosity that could have grown huge. It took the animosity and it just shrank it, like, completely. It was gone. The animosity was gone. So my husband could understand, like, oh, okay, now I see why he's saying that. Now we can get into a whole slew of things, and we can talk about a whole bunch of, he shouldn't have been there, he shouldn't have impeded, well, they were right in doing, and they were right. I totally get it. I can see both sides. I am not for someone impeding on law enforcement, whether it's federal or local. Do not impede their work, okay? They're not doing this to be bullies. Yes, you do have your officers out there who are bullies and they're tyrants and they are very power hungry. You have them, but a lot of our law enforcement is out there for the people. Had the police been defunded, I wouldn't be where I am now. With my ex-husband, I had to call the police because of how crazy he was talking about how if they came in the house that he was going out death by cop, and if they did this that he was going to do that and that. And then when we were able to escape, like, we literally had to escape, like, he went into the garage, I had to go into my room and go in the closet and call the police and whisper while I'm on the phone, and my heart is just pounding out of my chest at this point, and I'm like, and the police were there within a matter of, like, I want to say, like, 3 minutes. I had several cars there. And, I had to sneak all of my children out of the house. And when I did, You could, they told us to go across the street and kind of hide behind this house. And you could hear them like arguing, and he was shouting all kinds of vulgarity. He was loud. It was a disorderly, he got a disorderly on there, charge on there. But he came out of the house in cuffs and was, was screaming, "F you, Sandra, F you." Like he was totally mad. And he had been drinking that night as well. And I was able to get the police reports, and that he had said the same thing to the cops. Like the garage was halfway open and they're like, "Hey, come on out, come on out, come on out. Otherwise we're coming in." And he said, "That's okay. I'm going to go out guns blazing. I've got my rifles. You guys are all going to be under fire." And then he persisted in saying that he never said that, and that he was the victim, and all kinds of things. But had I not had the police been defunded, I wouldn't have had the help we needed that night. And me and my children needed the help. So I am a big believer in local law enforcement and federal law enforcement to keep our country safer. That is their job. Anyway, that's just a plug for law enforcement. My main takeaway is that my husband had this animosity with our friend, and because he made a judgment call, he didn't go and look and see until I stepped in and said, "Hold it, let's go see." So we have to be very careful when it comes to making a type of judgment call, especially when we do not have all the pieces. Yes, we have video footage of almost everything nowadays. There's video, there's logs, there's phone calls, there's texts. But even still, we still have to be careful. Of course, video footage, it can be doctored, but most of the time it's not. But AI coming out now, don't get me started on that. Anyway, so when you see something, try not to rush to judgment too quickly before you go and you do some investigative work and see where you're at with things. We need to be a peaceful people. We're taught by our Savior Jesus Christ to be peacemakers and to be peaceable. And that means that we got to let certain things go. You still keep your boundaries. I'm not saying drop boundaries and just let people walk all over you. No. Boundaries are very important, and boundaries are a form of self-love and self-care, because they protect you, and you're worth protecting. But we need to be peacemakers. That was one of our most current charges as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is to be a peacemaker. And whether it means you had a fight with your husband or your wife or your child, and you're the one apologizing. Now, that doesn't mean go apologize if you did nothing wrong. Okay? If you did nothing wrong and this person just comes in and starts literally just bombing you with a barrage of just, I call it sewage, just a whole bunch of verbal nastiness, obviously you don't really have to apologize. But if you're shouting back and you're saying things and you're arguing and you're like, before you apologize, try to analyze what you're apologizing for. Gee, did I really step out of the line when I said, yeah, well, was my delivery, am I apologizing for my delivery? Could I have said that in a much kinder tone? Yeah. then you apologize for those things. Hey, I'm not sorry for what I said, but I am sorry for how I said it. I could have done this, and I'm sorry that I didn't. Is quite different than, yeah, I'm sorry for hurting you. When my children apologize to each other, I make sure that they are taught what they're apologizing for, because there's blanket apologies and there's a real apology. And the apology is not just, I'm sorry. Okay, no, I tell my kids, what are you sorry for? And they get annoyed. They get annoyed with me when I do that. And they'll say things like, I'm sorry for yelling at you. I'm sorry that I took the toy. I'm sorry I pushed you. I'm sorry, So I make them be specific so they have accountability, so they start having to own what they've done. It's not just, I'm sorry for saying, something that hurt you. That's not really sorry. When you're like, hey, I'm sorry I said, fill in the blank. That's someone taking accountability. And we need more of that. We need more peacemakers in this world that is totally turning upside down on its head. Minneapolis is a great example of what happens when peacemaking is nowhere to be found. We need to be peacemakers and try to understand really what is going on and not just jump into the fire. We gotta be peacemakers, you guys. We need more peacemakers than we do people who want to just be chaotic. Please protect your families and do what you need to do for that protection, but be a peacemaker first. And if you can apologize to somebody today without causing any more pain or harm, then do it. But the apology has to come with active change. You don't get to just say, I'm sorry either, and then, I'm sorry for, saying blah, 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 and then everything's hunky-dory and everything's just great and we should just move on with life. You have to have active change. Otherwise, that sorry just becomes a manipulative ploy. And that's where your boundaries come in, and you're allowed to say, you don't get to tell me you're sorry because you're not changing. I've had to do that too. Anyway, let's all be peacemakers, because the Savior has asked us to do that. The Savior is the light. He is the way. He is the truth. And following the Savior is I don't want to say it's hard, because it's not hard, but because of the society we live in, it is construed as difficult and oppressive. It's not. It gives me so much freedom. I can choose to do whatever I want to do. I can do whatever I wanted to do. But because I follow the Savior and I tend to stay away from things that I know could be addictive, it's construed as hard and oppressive. But it's quite the opposite. Anything that is good is never easy. And that's the way that Satan wants it. Because, if doing what was easy was hard, he'd lose that battle real quick, wouldn't he? Anyway, that's it for this one. We can always be better today than we were yesterday. So let's try to be better peacemakers today than we were yesterday. Let's try to find ways to build bridges and to serve each other, because sometimes we are the answers to someone's prayers. I love you guys. You have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later this week.